Kirk Frost was not anticipated to drop the bombshell that would change everything after the cameras stopped and the stage lights went down. His connection with Rasheeda has been central to Love and Hip Hop Atlanta for many years. Rebuilt, tested, broken again, and yet always making it through. However, Kirk has now entered a very other storm. Kirk made the shocking public announcement that he was married to Jasmine Washington. The audience froze. The actors fell quiet. And there, in front of friends, cameras, and a million unsolved questions, Rasheeda started crying. What caused this? How did Jasmine become a bride after a scandal? Furthermore, what does this signify for Rasheeda, the family, and for the program that made them all famous? This goes beyond mere rumors. Fans will always remember this as the pivotal moment. At VH1, Kirk Frost was at Rhea. We must go back in. Time to comprehend the significance of Kirk's revelation. Kirk Frost on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta has always been a complex character. He was a loving spouse on television, but he was also a guy surrounded by allegations of infidelity, murmurs, dubious decisions, and the type of subdued tension that drives whole reality TV seasons. Alternatively, Rasheeda bore the burden of public opinion. She balanced a job, a marriage, and a cast that lived on drama while juggling her roles as a wife, mother, and entrepreneur. When combined, they were intriguing yet complex. When they battled, a handful of people cheered for them. A dot. Jasmine Washington followed. The internet exploded when Jasmine came into the picture. Rumors of an affair surfaced first. Then, claims of 4 months, both inside and beyond the VH1 bubble, the topic dominated headlines with the hashtags Kirk drama, read Dakwarkas, who is the father. Each episode promises a fresh perspective, a fresh response, a fresh admission, but no happy ending. Like a thundercloud that never went away, the baby storyline remained in the air. Finally, the actors appeared to proceed. Kirk and Rasheeda focused on their union. They gave the impression that they were together, even laughing, as if the most difficult times were over. Some fans criticized Rasheeda for forgiving too much, while others praised her for standing up for her family. However, ratings remained high, and for a time, everything appeared to be stable. A dot. Kirk's news had not yet been muttered in a corner. It wasn't a hazy Instagram live, a leak, or a hearsay. It was a public statement made in front of cameras, co-stars, and others who were aware of the harm that a single syllable might do. Kirk allegedly declared, "I've made a decision," while addressing a surprised audience. The gathering froze when the speaker said, "Jasmine and I are now married." Some believed it to be a poor prank. When the specifics were revealed, several people thought it was a predetermined plot point. With the paperwork already submitted, the marriage was conducted in a peaceful, lawful manner away from the craziness of Atlanta. Years of Jasmine Washington. Legally, Rasheeda and Kirk's wife were now the other women in a tangled triangle. Witnesses explain her response as instantaneous, unfiltered, and devastating. She remained still, attempting to take in what had just been uttered, tears streaming down her cheeks. Friends hurried over to join her. The actors looked at each other anxiously. The cameras continued to record. Reality TV is fueled by times such as these, but Rasheeda wasn't on stage. There was no plot to this. Her life was falling apart in real time. In a matter of minutes, social media exploded. Before the ceremony had concluded, snippets of the news circulated on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Rasheeda received thousands of comments. "You were so deserving of better." Team RASHE da. His family was split up by the lady he recently married. "I'm done with RL bloggers who analyze every second of the video, so Kirk Frost had better be phony for ratings." Lingering on Jasmine's face, Rasheeda's face, and the uneasy quiet of the cast. Had this treachery been planned for years? Was it Jasmine's redemption? Correct. Was it, as some have said, the most significant plot twist in the history of the Bai franchise, including Love and Hip Hop? The permanency of this declaration is what makes it even more startling. It is possible to deny affair. One can spread a rumor. However, a marriage consists of documents, signatures, and rings, things that are difficult to conceal or reverse. It's more than simply an emotional injury. It's lawful. Change. Kirk's choice of symbolic proclamation. Jasmine for Rasheeda in public forever and without apology. Losing her wasn't the only thing that hurt. Husband. Things has to do with how things transpired. In the midst of a crowd, a headline was dropped for everyone to see without any prior notice or discussion. According to those close to Rasheeda, she continued to ask the same question while crying. Why this way? Already, fans are wondering about what follows. Is Rasheeda going to quit the show? Will Jasmine and Kirk be back together as a married couple? Will VH1 make this better, using heartbreak as the focal point of a new season? In the realm of reality television, tragedy and viewership frequently go hand in hand. However, this development is claimed to have shocked even experienced producers. Rasheeda has not been active on the internet as of yet. Just silence, no statements, no posts. The sort that is purposeful, weighty, and full of intimate discussions that might never be made public. Kirk hasn't posted anything either. Jasmine doesn't use the internet. However, all three of them can hear the internet well enough. This is not only a surprise announcement. For Atlanta's love and hip-hop, it's a cultural moment. An epic tale of love, treachery, reunion, and now total reversal. One thing is clear, regardless of whether this marks the beginning of a new chapter or the conclusion of one completely. The moment Kirk Frost announced to the world that Jasmine Washington was now his wife and Rasheeda, the lady who stood by him, will never be forgotten by fans. Him through one controversy after another. Wept while sleeping. Jasmine Washington, Kirk Frost, RASHEDALHL drama at Rasheeda, at Frostma 17, at VH1, at Leave and Hip Hop. When a narrative like this takes off, it has an impact not just on the individuals at its core, but also on families, friendships, companies, and a fan audience that has invested emotionally in these characters for years. Phones rang the night following Kirk's announcement. Emergency calls were scheduled by the producers. PR departments rushed to prepare remarks that stated just enough to diffuse the situation without confining anybody in Atlanta's close-knit entertainment community. The murmurs persisted. A few insiders claimed to have anticipated this. They discussed quiet dinners, late-night text exchanges, and times when Kirk and Jasmine appeared closer than is typical for co-parents. Others said they were taken by surprise, that they sincerely thought Kirk and Rasheeda had made progress, and that the three adults had managed to live together without bringing up previous issues. Meanwhile, fans didn't wait for the facts. They created their own stories. Screenshots were used to create Twitter discussions. Kirk was seen close to Jasmine's home. In a picture taken weeks earlier, Jasmine was wearing what seemed to be a ring. A behind-the-scenes video of Kirk appearing aloof during a family gathering. The Kirk. By daybreak, weddings were in style. There were hilarious and nasty memes. All of them were fueling an uncontrollable fire. Among the most difficult aspects of any reality. Determining what is true and what is for ratings is a TV controversy. Love hip-hop is based on real people going through real situations, yet it feeds on heightened emotion. By the middle of the week, bloggers, commenters, and even other cast members were offering their opinions. This is brilliant if it's a plot line. It's devastating if it isn't. It's unbelievable that we're witnessing a marriage breakdown in real time at Real Litter Capper. Keep Rasheeda safe at all costs. Expenses. This is no longer television at Fangirl ATL. People's lives are like this. Behind closed doors at Street Talk, Kale, Rasheeda's inner circle, attempted to provide a secure environment. According to her friends, she was numb and continued mentally reliving the revelation while debating whether to go public, go quiet, or avoid the limelight entirely. Kirk allegedly told a mutual acquaintance that he couldn't continue to live in limbo after she reportedly told a friend, "I built a life with him in front of millions, and now he's tearing it down the same way in front of millions." That the choice to wed Jasmine was intended as a fresh start rather than as an insult to Rasheeda. It's another matter completely whether or not Rasheeda or her admirers find any emotional resonance in that explanation. According to reports, VH1 executives were divided. Some viewed the situation as an inevitable catastrophe that required cautious handling to prevent harm to the brand. Some viewed it as a gift from God. Unquestionably captivating television, however painful. They discussed whether to create a special, speed-up filming or wait for the dust to settle. Legal teams started looking at deadlines when someone allegedly stated in a meeting, "We're not just telling a story anymore. We're dealing with fallout that could affect contracts, reputations, even custody." In reality TV off-screen, were Kirk and Rasheeda still legally married? Would a formal separation affect any assets, enterprises, or contracts? Reality and production reality may clash in ways that quickly become extremely costly. In humiliation while she reaped the private rewards, while others thought it was elegant, and that she was not adding salt to an already raw sore. Camera crews were nearby, and by the weekend, paparazzi had camped nearly every known address, so the silence only made the cacophony louder. Behind. Although it was unclear if Rasheeda was visiting a lawyer's office for personal, professional, or familial reasons, a single picture of her doing so went viral. The struggle for custody, contract negotiations, impending divorce, and caption warfare all started. The Love and Hip Hop family respects the privacy of our cast during difficult times. El Haddle's official account shared a neutral remark. Fans of #LHL weren't happy. They wanted clarity, not corporate distance, and they will keep sharing their travels whenever and however they wish. The human cost of this moment is easy to overlook, but they needed someone to take a side and speak clearly about what had occurred, who was wrong, who was upset, and whether or not the program they loved was going to lose one of its key couples for good. While the hashtags and heated opinions were going on, children were asking questions in Atlanta homes, friends were picking sides, and business partners were going over contracts. In the midst of all of this, 3 people who had spent a large portion of their private lives on television were suddenly coping with a problem that was too emotional, chaotic, and real to be scripted in the background. Music blogs began to question if fashion pages wondered whether Rasheeda's brand would disassociate itself from Frost-related initiatives. Event planners murmured about forthcoming appearances, whether they would be canceled, whether the singer would resume recording, and a situation like this doesn't remain confined. It extends, twists, and finds its way into unexpected places. By Monday, guest lists would alter, and it would be unclear if any of this would leak into public areas. In the morning, a prominent gossip website stated that offers for exclusive interviews had already been made. These interviews might influence public opinion for months or perhaps years. Rasheeda's team, according to "The only certainty for now is uncertainty," sources said, was carefully considering timing, tone, and truth, aware that one wrong word could inflame an already volatile situation. The first domino may have been Kirk's revelation, but what comes next? Decisions are still being made in real time for brands, marriages, careers, and friendships. By Tuesday, the narrative had evolved beyond a marriage under the scrutiny of a million interested onlookers. Kirk Frost, Jasmine Washington. Rasheeda. Reality TV drama at VH1 at Levant Hip Hop at Rasheeda at Frost 117. Talk radio shows, morning TV gossip shows, and even some major news sites have adopted it as a cultural talking point. When reality TV crosses, it often denotes one of 2 things when it enters the public discourse: either a time of intense human drama or sheer hilarity, and this was the latter. The timeline was the focus of whole episodes of podcasts, which plotted the dates of Kirk and Jasmine's initial encounter, compared production schedules, and conjectured whether the marriage had been subtly developing for months. It was ugly, obsessive, and exactly what occurs when a fan base feels surprised. Reddit threads went even farther, with amateur investigators drawing flowcharts and claiming sources who may or might not have ever met anybody involved. Rasheeda remained silent throughout it all, and that silence created its own story. For some fans, it was a symbol of strength, a woman putting her dignity before show, while for others it was a source of frustration. People close to her recounted a quiet period of regrouping, during which she was, according to one friend, trying to figure out how to protect her family while standing up for herself. They wanted a statement, a post, or a single remark to let them know how she was doing. Jasmine remained silent as well, posting neither cryptic statements nor jubilant postings. It seemed as though both ladies realized how serious the situation was and that everything they said in public would be screenshotted, frozen, examined, and perhaps used against them later. In a time where every remark is turned into a headline, quiet can occasionally be the most calculated tactic. Kirk, for his part, allegedly contacted Rasheeda in private, and according to some reports, he requested a face-to-face meeting to give Rasheeda a direct explanation of his choice. It is unknown whether or not the meeting actually happened. In the meanwhile, producers faced a conundrum. She wanted space, not a conversation that could be converted into material, according to one source. Editors were requested to analyze old material, meetings were conducted regularly, and the largest narrative line to ever touch the franchise was either ignored or leaned into in a way that didn't appear exploitative. Could they create a special episode that honored what had happened without causing everyone to experience trauma again? Could they reframe the current season? "We've built a career on showing people's lives," one producer reportedly stated. "This is only an ugly version of their existence." In the nightlife of Atlanta, the circumstances became commonplace. DJs cracked jokes, and promoters argued about whether it would be interpreted as disrespectful or loyal to invite any of the three to gigs. The distinction between community and fame is blurred by reality TV, making everyone feel as though they are a part of the narrative, even if they are only spectators. Now that line was slender. Online legal experts offered commentary that combined gossip and entertainment law. If Kirk and Rasheeda were others pointed out that bureaucratic lags frequently mean the emotional end of a marriage comes long before the legal one. If he was still legally married when he married Jasmine, it may result in annulments or even criminal charges, depending on the jurisdiction. Brand managers kept a tight eye on Rasheeda's stores, partnerships, and appearances, which were all connected to a personal brand based on strength, hustling, and partnership. Would this betrayal harm or enhance that brand by portraying her as a survivor of heartache in the public eye? Kirk's name was trending in the meanwhile, but not in the manner sponsors want. Sometimes value is preserved by silence. Fans started taking sides in more overt ways, with some posting lengthy words of support for Rasheeda. Negative publicity seldom does. "You've motivated so many of us at Rasheeda to persevere through hardships. You'll emerge from this even more resilient." Immediately on Team Rasheeda or others spoke up for Kirk. A smaller but louder group of people put their support behind Jasmine, saying that she had been demonized for years and was now at last being treated with respect, and that relationships are complicated, and that no one outside the marriage knows the whole story. They should stop acting as though they live in that house because they have no idea what happened. Recognized as someone Kirk genuinely cared about. After years of lust, it appears that Jasmine Washington was more than simply a passing fancy. Perhaps the venom was misdirected. She'd argued justice for Jasmine in forums and group chats. Discussions became upset. Some wondered what this meant for the love and hip-hop brand, while others thought about how difficult it is to distinguish between genuine sadness and staged tension. A few just took a step back. Children needed to be shielded from the noise, and those closest to the issue sought to establish a buffer in the actual world, away from social media and television, while acknowledging that they didn't know how to feel angry, sad, entertained, or all three. Reviewing legal paperwork, moving personal belongings, freezing accounts, and making judgments in private kitchens while the public raged online were all possible outcomes. The timing of Kirk's statement stuck out throughout it all. Why now? Why publicly? Why suddenly? One cast member who wishes to remain anonymous stated, "You don't drop a bomb like that in front of cameras unless you want a fire." Even others who sympathized with him found the delivery difficult to grasp. The public nature of the marriage presented a contradiction, and he was fully aware of what he was doing. Kirk transformed a private choice into a public discussion by organizing it as an event, inviting everyone who watched Love and Hip Hop to judge, mourn, laugh, and speculate. That's both the benefit and the drawback of reality TV. You divulge enough personal details that you are unable to control how others respond when something major occurs. As the week drew to a close, it became evident that this story was not going away. It was not a scandal that would exhaust itself in a single weekend. It had emotional, legal, and professional roots, and whether anybody wanted them or not, those roots would have an impact. Kirk Frost? Jasmine Washington. Read. By the second weekend following the news, ALO and Hip Hop at ATL at VH1 at Rasheeda at Frost 117 at Jasmine Washington had assumed an odd duality, combining intimate turmoil with public drama. Consequences. While everyone was conversing, Kirk, Rasheeda, and Jasmine, the core group, had yet to speak in their own words, leaving a void that never stays empty on the internet. They were full of words, projections, and conjecture, and occasionally outright falsehoods. Public relations specialists, those who were employed, some of whom were only making side comments, started talking about damage management, narrative, control, and owning your truth in their podcasts and tweets. As one consultant put it on Twitter, no matter how you feel about Kirk, if you're in his shoes, your best move is transparency. Some of it was based on standard